And you lost your other brother.
Have you ever wondered about the darker side of human history? Well, get ready, because today we're diving deep into a topic that's both fascinating and, frankly, jaw-dropping. Get ready to explore the top 10 most inbred families in history. A review that will leave you utterly shocked.
Get out.
Timmy, tell me about what you remember of your parents.
The tradition of intermarriages within royal families dates back centuries. Once a dynasty grasped the reins of power, they were often reluctant to relinquish it. So they did what seemed logical to them. They married among themselves, forging bonds that were meant to solidify their dominion. Little did they know, however, that in doing so, they were unwittingly opening the door to a sinister legacy of genetic defects. Inbreeding, a practice that involves the unions of close relatives, became a hallmark of these dynasties, a means to preserve their lineage and safeguard their claims to power. However, history has shown that this practice had dire consequences, unleashing a Pandora's box of deadly genetic disorders and deformities. Through these tales, we are reminded that the pursuit of power, even by those who seemed invincible, had a price, one that they and generations to come would have to pay. So if you're ready to uncover the fascinating truths that have shaped dynasties and changed the course of nations, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and let's dive in. Number 10. The Fugate Family. We're starting off our list with an incestuous family that took inbreeding to a whole new level. The Fugate Family of Kentucky. Imagine a family with skin so blue that it became their defining feature. The Fugate family, hailing from Troublesome Creek, Kentucky, captured the world's attention due to a rare genetic condition called metemoglobinemia. This condition, affecting only 0.0035% of the global population, reduces the blood's oxygen-carrying capacity, leading to an unusual blue skin tone. But how did this unique condition become so prevalent in the Fugate lineage? Well, it all started in the early 1800s when Martin Fugate and Elizabeth Smart united in the secluded region of Appalachia, Perry County, Kentucky. Little did they know that their union would kick off a saga of inbreeding that would stretch for generations. Martin Fugate carried a genetic defect, metemoglobinemia, passed down through generations. Their 7 children faced the odds, and 4 of them were born with striking blue skin. In a twist of fate, the secluded nature of their rural outback life led to a cycle of intermarriages within the Fugate family and neighboring communities like the Combs, Richies, Smiths, and Stacys. The isolation further fueled the passing on of this unique trait. Zachariah, one of Martin and Elizabeth's children, bizarrely married his own aunt, and another son married a close cousin. Another child would later marry their cousin too, as Luna Fugate was known as the bluest family member. She was described as having lips as dark as a bruise. Here's where things get even more interesting. Luna Fugate married John Stacy in the late 19th century. Their union produced a whopping 13 children, adding a new chapter to the Fugate family legacy. But don't let the blue skin fool you. Despite the unusual appearance and the potential health implications of her condition, Luna lived a long and hearty life until the age of 84. And the Fugate children? Despite their blue hue, they were reported to be healthy and well.
If you could change back to the way you were, would you do it?
I'm not sure.
Really?
Really?
Number 9. The Colt Family. The Colts are one of the world's most notorious inbred families. They were discovered in 2012, living on a remote farm in New South Wales, where they had engaged in incest for 4 generations. There were 38 members in the Colt family with physical and mental disabilities, including malformed limbs, facial deformities, intellectual disabilities, and speech impairments. The Colt family incest began with a couple known as Tim and June Colt, who emigrated from New Zealand in the 1970s. There's no information about the family members' true identities. The name Colt is a pseudonym used by the New South Wales courts and government agencies, as are all of the family's given names. June, born in 1948, and Tim, born in 1943, were both born in New Zealand. June, who was the product of brother-sister incest, married Tim in 1966. The couple had 7 children together: Martha, Frank, Paula, Cherry, Rhonda, Betty, and Charlie, before moving to Victoria in the 1970s. The first time Tim raped Betty was when she was just 12 years old. After finding out that her mother June was inbred, Betty asked if June could donate a kidney to one of her granddaughters. Tim formed a musical band with his family. All told, there were almost 40 members in the family, including grandparents, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, nephews, brothers, and sisters, all engaging in various forms of incest. There were many deformities and medical problems among the children. School attendance was transient and only occurred when welfare officers visited the family. And once in school, the children needed remedial instruction. Several of them also tortured animals for fun by mutilating their genitals. Both children and adults regularly engaged in sexual activities, which produced even more children, some with genetic deformities. The majority of the kids had fungal infections. In order to hide pregnancies, the girls would sometimes miscarry on the farm. Fatherhood would often be attributed to outsiders coming to the country for work or tourism. There were incidents of the girls being tied to trees and raped by the boys. There was no running water, showers, toilets, or hygiene products available to them. The case has been described by Detective Chief Inspector Peter Yeomans as, quote, like nothing I've ever seen. And it was considered by many to be so shocking that in a rare move, the New South Wales Children's Court allowed full details to be made public, albeit with all names changed to pseudonyms for the children's protection, including the family name of Colt.
Betty's younger son, Billy, is actually fathered by her older son, Bobby.
Number 8. The Habsburg Family. The incredible story of the Habsburgs, an inbred family that grew to power through marriage but fell through inbreeding. The Habsburgs were a powerhouse, ruling over vast territories in Europe, from Austria to Bohemia, Hungary, and even Spain. Their strategic unions extended their dominion over major courts, making them one of the most influential royal families for centuries. But power comes at a price, and the Habsburgs' pursuit of it led them down a path of inbreeding. As their influence grew, so did their need for strategic marriages to maintain control. However, as they continued to marry within their own family over generations, a troubling pattern emerged. Physical deformities and mental illnesses plagued their bloodline. One of the most distinctive features of the Habsburgs was the infamous Habsburg jaw, a protruding lower jaw that made speaking and eating a challenge. By the late 16th century, their options for strategic marriages had dwindled, and they turned to marrying other Habsburgs. The rampant incest marked much of their 200-year reign, particularly in Spain during the 16th and 17th centuries. However, the consequences of their marital practices became shockingly apparent. Infant mortality rates skyrocketed, reaching a harrowing 50% among Spanish Habsburgs, a rate far higher than the period's average. By the end of the 17th century, the effects of inbreeding were undeniable, with family members exhibiting distinctive physical traits and facing a myriad of health issues. In 1700, the Habsburg Dynasty met its tragic end with the death of King Charles II of Spain. The dynasty had come full circle. The very practices that brought them to power also contributed to their demise. Historians speculate that Charles II's infertility, likely due to congenital deformations, marked the extinction of the Habsburg bloodline. Number 7. The Bourbon Family. A royal dynasty that resorted to inbreeding to hold on to their bloodline and dominion over France, Spain, Naples, Sicily, and Parma from the 16th to the 20th century. As they married their own kin to preserve their power, the Bourbons unwittingly unleashed a cascade of health problems and genetic defects. Infertility, impotence, hemophilia, epilepsy, even madness plagued this lineage, turning their pursuit of supremacy into a struggle for survival. But there's more to the story. A controversial argument looms. Could inbreeding have triggered major mental illnesses like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia? The genealogical trees of European royal dynasties, including the Bourbons, provide a unique window into this intricate relationship. Philippe V, the pioneer of Bourbon rule in Spain, is said to have grappled with a severe mental disorder. His son, Fernando VI, followed suit, succumbing to a similar fate. However, amidst this sea of instability, Carlos III, Philippe V's son from a different mother, seemed remarkably unaffected.
Now I have might over my enemies. I have the adoration of my people.
You think because I'm king, that I'm not also a brother?
Number 6. The Pitcairn Islanders. Imagine a group of people descended from 9 mutineers of the HMS Bounty and 12 Tahitian women, isolated on a remote island for over 2 centuries, where they intermarried among themselves. This is their story. Back in 1790, this isolated paradise in the South Pacific was occupied by just 15 men, 11 women, and a baby. Fast forward 28 years, and only 1 man remained among 11 women. The result? John Adams and Ned Young, 2 aggressive survivors on a remote island, marred by alcoholism, violence, and disease. But then, an unexpected twist. Adams and Young declared themselves holy men and established a scripture-based society. What did they do as holy men? They started making babies, lots of them. By 1956, this tiny island was home to 193 people. The population swelled, and they eventually sought help from England to move to a larger nearby island. However, the story takes a dark turn. This isolated colony developed a disturbing cultural habit: widespread underage relations. When New Zealand investigated in the early 2000s, they faced a wall of silence. 1/3 of the male population was convicted of sex crimes in a shocking 2004 trial. The culture shock was so severe that authorities had to seize all firearms on the island. Today, the Pitcairn Islands are home to only 50 people. They remain isolated, with limited internet connectivity and just a few opportunities to leave when the supply ship arrives. Number 5. Ptolemaic Dynasty. The Ptolemaic Dynasty ruled Egypt between 305 BC and 30 BC, an intriguing period, but one of great controversy. The aftermath of Alexander the Great's reign led to one of his generals, Ptolemy I Soter, seizing control of Egypt and establishing the Ptolemaic Dynasty. A dynasty marked by power, yes, but also by a risky practice: incestuous marriages among siblings, parents, and children. Why? To uphold their divine status and maintain the purity of their royal bloodline. As the dynasty persisted, so did the tradition of intermarriage. They were all in for it: sibling marriage, parent-child unions, you name it. However, these choices led to a host of problems. Not only did it result in health complications, but also sowed the seeds of political instability among the dynasty. Consider this. The most famous Ptolemaic pharaoh, Cleopatra VII, married and ruled alongside not 1 but 2 of her brothers, Ptolemy VIII and Ptolemy IX. And it wasn't just Cleopatra's family. Many dynasty members were reported to be extremely obese. Scriptures and coins of the time depict them with swollen necks and prominent eyes, suggesting potential health issues. So what could have caused this? The answer might lie in the family tree itself. Familial Graves' disease is one possibility, but it's not likely to explain all of the symptoms, especially combined with morbid obesity. Experts speculate that inbreeding depression played a role, leading to a multi-organ fibrotic condition such as Erdheim-Chester disease or familial multifocal fibrosclerosis. These conditions could account for the range of health issues suffered by the Ptolemaic rulers. Number 4. The Windsor Family. They are the reigning monarchs of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms. As prestigious as their lineage may be, it's not without its share of genetic troubles. You see, the Windsors have a long history of marrying into other European royal families to strengthen alliances and connections. While this might sound like a savvy strategy, it comes with a catch: the risk of genetic disorders due to consanguinity or intermarriage within the same family. Let's start with a famous monarch, King George III, often dubbed the Mad King. His reign was marked by the loss of American colonies and, more notoriously, his bouts of madness and even blue urine. Some believe this was due to porphyria, a genetic disorder causing neurological symptoms and blue-tinted urine. Porphyria can be more common amongst inbred individuals, as they might inherit 2 recessive genes for the disorder. But wait, the plot thickens. Recent debates have raised questions about King George III's diagnosis. Some suggest that his so-called madness might have actually been bipolar disorder, a mental illness unrelated to inbreeding. In fact, bipolar disorder isn't commonly associated with consanguinity. Speaking of inbreeding, it's worth noting that King George III's possible genetic challenges were compounded by his family's intricate web of royal intermarriage. This practice, while meant to consolidate power, sometimes led to the transmission of genetic disorders down the line. And let's not forget about that blue urine. As intriguing as it sounds, it might not have been solely due to his condition. King George III was consuming a medication containing gentian, a blue plant used as a tonic. This substance can actually turn urine blue. Number 3. The Darwin-Wedgwood Family. A British dynasty that left an indelible mark on science, art, literature, and politics. This family tree boasts 2 significant branches: the Darwins, known for naturalist Charles Darwin of evolutionary theory fame, and the Wedgwoods, the creative minds behind the renowned Wedgwood pottery. Now here's where it gets intriguing. The Darwin-Wedgwood clan had a penchant for cousin marriages. Why, do you ask? To preserve their intellectual and artistic talents, they believed, by keeping the genius within their family. This practice, however, had its quirks. Charles Darwin himself married his first cousin, Emma Wedgwood, who was the daughter of his mother's brother. It's a union that might raise eyebrows today, but in those times it wasn't uncommon. However, Darwin wasn't oblivious to the potential pitfalls of inbreeding. He wondered if his close genetic relation to Emma had adverse effects on their children's health. 3 of their 10 children died before the age of 11, a fact that deeply concerned Darwin. While none of Darwin's children had documented physical or mental deformities, the 3 who passed away seemed to have fallen victim to infectious diseases. Inbreeding can increase the risk of contracting such diseases, which might explain their untimely deaths. One child passed away at just 23 days old, another who wasn't developing normally at 18 months, and the third likely succumbed to tuberculosis, a disease more easily contracted with a higher degree of inbreeding. It's worth noting that marrying close relatives wasn't unique to the Darwin-Wedgwood family. Many powerful and famous families, like the Habsburgs and some ancient Egyptian pharaohs, indulged in similar practices. In earlier, smaller, and more isolated communities, such unions were more common. Nevertheless, it was already believed by Darwin's time that consanguineous marriage can lead to deafness, blindness, and deformity.
Clear evidence of transformation. Mr. Darwin, your theory is hugely powerful.
Number 2. Pharaonic Family. The dynastic rulers of ancient Egypt, whose tales of divine lineage and power continue to fascinate us. From the first dynasty to the last, they held sway over the lands of the Nile, claiming descent from the very gods they worshipped. But behind the grandeur and mystique, there's a darker side that emerges from their closely intertwined bloodlines. Picture this: the great pharaohs, Tutankhamun, Ramses II, and Cleopatra VII, iconic names that echo through time. Yet beneath the glimmering gold and regal attire lay the consequences of their intermarriages. Yes, you heard that right. To maintain their divine lineage, the pharaohs often turned to their siblings or close relatives for marriage. inadvertently weaving a web of genetic issues that would haunt generations to come. Let's talk about Tutankhamun, often hailed as the Boy King. Despite the power he wielded, his body was far from robust. His parents were siblings, and this union marked the beginning of his genetic woes. Tutankhamun suffered from various bodily deformities. Necrosis, a condition where tissue dyes afflicted his left foot, rendering him dependent on a cane. Archaeologists uncovered a trove of over 100 walking canes in his tomb, a testament to his struggle. Modern technology like molecular genetics and computed tomography, CT scanning, unveiled more about Tutankhamun's frailty. He had weak bones and an immune system that couldn't quite protect him. Despite his young age, Tutankhamun died of natural causes, leaving behind a legacy shrouded in mystery. This practice of consanguinity wasn't confined to Europe. It echoed across history, even in ancient Egypt. The divine siblings Isis and Osiris set the precedent. Pharaohs followed suit, including Tutankhamun's own parents. His mother was likely his father's sister, a choice driven by the desire to keep the bloodline pure. The results of these unions were far from divine. Tutankhamun's mummy, subjected to a groundbreaking DNA study, revealed the truth. His parents were closely related. His frailty wasn't just a story, it was encoded in his genes. His sister wife, like his mother, was also his kin. The unfortunate result? Their children did not survive.
I am your pharaoh!
Number 1. The mysterious Whitaker family. Our next story is straight from the extraordinary, the Whitaker family of Egeria, West Virginia. Now, before you conjure images of fantasy novels, let's set the record straight. We're delving into a reality that's far more unsettling than fiction. Imagine a family that lives in seclusion, a family that communicates in grunts and barks, and whose legacy is marred by physical deformities and mental disabilities. No, this isn't a scene from a chilling movie. This is the Whitaker family, a name that might send shivers down your spine. In 2020, this family thrust itself into the public eye, thanks to Mark Leta and his Soft White Underbelly YouTube channel. Leta ventured into Odd, West Virginia, and encountered the Whitakers, a family whose isolation spans generations. Descendants of cousins who married each other, their lives are shrouded in mystery and secrecy. Mark Leta's boldness in bringing their story to the forefront wasn't without risks. Armed neighbors and wary deputies warned outsiders to stay away. With an air of British descent, the Whitakers lived in conditions that defy convention, unkempt and hidden away from prying eyes. The family members include Ray, Lorraine, Timmy, Freddie, and an unnamed sister, although Freddie has long since passed away due to a heart attack. While this might seem like a unique story, history reminds us of similar cases like the infamous Colt clan incest case. It's a chilling reminder that reality can sometimes be more horrifying than our darkest imaginations. Conspiracy theories often swirl around stories like this. Take the British royal family, for instance, a dynasty that's been keeping secrets for generations. The tale of Catherine and Nerissa, daughters of John Herbert Bowes Lyon, brother of the Queen Mother, raises questions about the lengths families might go to protect their reputation and hide genetic deformities. Now here's where it gets truly perplexing. The Whitakers remain shrouded in even deeper mystery. Guarded by deputies and armed neighbors, they're a puzzle wrapped in an enigma. Could they be connected to a powerful family? Speculation abounds. Why the secrecy? Why the guarded demeanor? Their parents' identities are veiled in obscurity, and the remaining members, who reportedly don't work, remain tight-lipped. Thankfully, Mark Leta initiated a GoFundMe campaign to help them. But amidst the intrigue, questions remain. Who are the Whitaker family, really? Why the secrecy and guarded nature? Is there more to this tale than meets the eye? It's a story that leaves us with more questions than answers, reminding us that sometimes the truth is stranger and darker than fiction.
Thank you for letting me come by again. Nice seeing you again.
And there you have it, folks. the top 10 most inbred families in history. If you found this video as jaw-dropping as we did, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to join VintageTV. Which of these stories left you the most stunned? Tell us in the comments below. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.